Hey aspirants, welcome to Insights IAS initiative. Today, the episode is more likely going to be a lot of filled with a kind of economy ideas. All the four articles we are going to study today a kind of are interlinked and would be very relevant at the time when India aspires to be the global leader and is called as the brightest spot in the world economy today. So you can make it as a very good value addition points for your GS paper 3 Indian economy, and it can rightly go into your topics like unemployment. It can be also about manufacturing sector, service sector, agriculture sector. What would be the future of India in a protectionist time? So these four topics that we are going to discuss today are directly related to Indian economy. So this can better be called as a economy edition of our ICANN episodes. Right, so let's begin with editorial that had come up in Economic Times recently. So this, if you read this carefully, it's talking about returnee entrepreneurs. That is, how they are reshaping India's future. How they have certain challenges or barriers must be removed by the government to reap the benefits. So if you see, this is talking about returnee entrepreneurs, that is those who have come back to India after staying for a few years in other countries. So according to this author, Vivek Wadhwa here, he tells that these returnees have a great potential to kickstart the economic systems in India, provided we ease out all this creases, right? So what is the whole topic starting with? It is starting with the American policy. So if you have seen, especially in the under the presidentship of Donald Trump, that's going to start in a few days now, US has been dubbing the idea of making America great again, and it is nothing but a kind of inward looking policy. So US wants to give employment to its own people and wants to cut off its ties with economic dependency on many other countries. It may be China for manufacturing, it may be India for human labor. So it is trying to lock out all the immigrants who have built its economy and technology dominance today, right? So why US has been a tech giant today, the crux is basically many Indians and Asian people who have worked to build this economic and technological empire of USA. So this may be a worrying trend, and if you remember, this idea of H1B visa and Indians being accepted into the US society would be a very great or an important diplomatic matter for our leaders to discuss whenever they meet. So when Indians are shutted out or Indians are kept out of USA in Donald Trump's regime now coming in the coming time, it is a negative idea, or it's a kind of downfall in our relationships in an indirect way. But according to this author, this is nothing but a blessing in disguise. That is, there is the US that these are the people who come under the talented sections of the society. So the talent US is failing to retain the best and the brightest of their resources that can be utilized by other countries, and this is nothing but a phenomena called as reverse brain drain. That is, India once lost these minds to the other countries, especially USA, and now when they have created an immigration policy to send out the outsiders, they are coming back to India, which is a brain gain for us or a reverse brain drain. So the best example the author quotes here is Sachin and Binny Bansal. You would have heard of their name. They are none other than the people who started Flipkart in India. So you can imagine the success of Flipkart already. So what was their role earlier? They were former employees of Amazon. Okay. And we can talk about Bhavish Agarwal. Bhavish Agarwal was a former employee of Microsoft. So after he left that, he came to India and created Ola, the EV scooter or the EV platform. Today they are into renewable energy as well. Hence, if you see, these two examples tells that though these people were working in other countries, they have come back and created a huge ecosystem in India in itself. So if we think that they just created a company called Flipkart, Ola, that would be a narrow perception. So they have created an entire ecosystem here, especially driving from innovations. They have generated a lot of jobs in the country. They have redefined India's role in the world economy, we can say. So what has America lost? That is the world's gain. So this was a recent research topic, we can say. So what's America's loss? That is world's gain. America has lost the talent. Other parts of the world are utilizing it. So there was a study in the year 2011 that grass is indeed greener for India and China for returnee entrepreneurs. So grass is greener means there are many white pastures they can venture into to create a new economic model. So what are the positives or advantages these returnee entrepreneurs are having? This would be very important for us to quote. They are highly skilled people. Right, they are highly skilled professionals, we must say. So these professionals, they all have been having advanced educational qualifications, advanced degrees is a correct word. And when they had worked in companies like Amazon, Microsoft, they have developed good global networks. That is, they were able to make contacts and connection through whom they used to run their businesses. In addition to that, they have years of experience. So they are coming back to India with all these advantages, which is nothing but a blessing in disguise for us. So this is a right time we are discussing a topic about returnee employees or returnee entrepreneurs, because if you are seeing the news, Odisha is hosting the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas currently for 3 days to commemorate the contribution of Indian diaspora in our growth story, right? So remember to utilize this information for diaspora ideas as well. Okay, so there is a recent research done by IISc here. So IISc in Bangalore has done providing a qualitative insights into the survey. So what they have done? They have tried to create a survey of 54 returnee entrepreneurs. Okay, 54 returnee entrepreneurs, and they have also done a research of 55 domestic entrepreneurs. So when they compare the performance and the challenges these two face in the Bengaluru's ecosystem, they found that along 53 stakeholders they have consulted, which include government officials, incubators, venture capitalists, they have contacted all of them and have come to this conclusion. So remember this as a qualitative survey that was conducted between returnee entrepreneurs and domestic entrepreneurs. So some of the results of this survey are quite interesting. Okay, the first one is that research professionals who spent minimum 6 years in developed countries, that is, we are talking about the entrepreneurs here who are returning. If they have spent minimum 6 years in any other country, they have gained a lot of education, they have gained a lot of experience, and they have developed international network, as we have just seen. And all of this is under cutting edge skills. That is, we are talking about skills that are needed in the market. So what, in addition, they have a very unique resource, that is the financial resource, that is the money they would have made staying outside, that comes to their rescue when they want to start a business in India. Okay, so second advantage they have is, because of all these parameters that they have seen in their life, they can easily identify business opportunities in India. Okay, compared to a domestic entrepreneur, they are very good at early opportunity identification, and they are more effective in introducing innovative products. So they don't shy out and tell that will this work in India or not, but understand the market and try to create new products for the country. So which fields these returnee entrepreneurs are very active in? It is artificial intelligence, clean energy, we can say biotechnology. All of this has led to a ripple effect in the sense it has impacted multiple stakeholders, leading to economic growth and generation. But the authors also tell that there are certain challenges that the report is facing, that these people are facing. So one of the challenges that the people here are facing is related to liability of foreignness. What is the meaning of liability of foreignness? They lack familiarity with cultural and institutional norms in India. So they have limited domestic networks in the local area. They do not know much contacts. They struggle to navigate especially the problem comes with bureaucratic structure. So because of this barrier, they are not able to get easily into the market and start a firm altogether. The second challenge they face is they'll take longer to start a startup. That is, they would have planned it, but it takes quite long time due to initial adjustment challenges. They have to think about many other parameters. So once that adjustments work out, they are going to scale faster once they are established. So till that adjustment phase, their companies are not turning out easily. So the third idea that is discussed in the report is all the stakeholders. They have told that the presence of a robust and supportive entrepreneur ecosystem is crucial, and to a great extent that is absent in India, or we must say not up to the potential. So because of this reason, many of the entrepreneurs, returnee entrepreneurs who even want to start a firm, they are not able to because of these challenges, right? So what could be the suggestions for this idea? So India today, more than 35 million Indians are living abroad. This number is good to quote. More than 35 million Indians, they stay abroad. So India has a huge potential now to attract this returning talent. So once we address the systemic challenges, right? What are the systemic challenges we can talk about? One is we need some mechanisms called facilitation centers. Facilitation centers for returnee entrepreneurs, so that any hiccups that exist in understanding the Indian laws and others can be eased out. We can also extend financial support, though they have their own sources of finance. If we provide finance and tech support to them in the form of, let's say, grants, we can talk about incubator facilities where they can test their products. So this would go a long way. Then we can also work on greater integration into domestic network. That is, familiarizing them with the domestic market and the people here would make them adjust easily. And the very important one is infrastructure boost. If we do all of this, there is a very high chance that these returnee entrepreneurs, with their global experience and local expertise, can create great wonders for Indian economy. And where this topic is relevant, GS paper 2, Indian diaspora, what is their role, and even GS paper 3, alternatives to India's economy, or when in this kind of ideas where people of Indians are returning from abroad, how we can utilize it, right? This would be our first topic of discussion. Take down a practice question for this, that is, discuss how India's engagement with its diaspora strengthens its position as a global leader in innovation and diplomacy. So engagement is something we are talking about, easing the process of returnee employees to establish themselves in the Indian market. So we'll go to the second topic, again related to human potential in India. India's got HUCAP, we need to tap it. So HUCAP is nothing but human capital. So where does this word come from? This article is basically a crux of a kind of small segment we have picked up from the interview that Satya Nadella has given to Economic Times. Okay, in this, Satya Nadella mentions that India is in possession of human capital which can be tapped. So remember, this could be a very good phrase to use in your answers. HUCAP, that is human capital. So if you see, this is quite surprising at a time when India has been pestering about, we have been complaining that we do not have a proper skill set in India. Indian people are not skilled enough to be employed into the global market or even in the Indian market. So that's the reason why we have a lot of unemployment. So this concept of India possesses UCAP, it provides a counter argument to a broad perception of India suffering from a low skilled workforce. So basically, tech workers that Satya Nadella is talking about, they actually form a small segment of India's working age population. Correct? They form a small segment. So the CEO highlights that their ability to spread the cutting edge technology like artificial intelligence effectively has a great potential to boost India's economy. So why is he making a statement like this? Because, or why Satya Nadella, if you see, he's the CEO of Microsoft today, and Microsoft has recently launched an AI tool, and it believes that Indians have a good opportunity to grow it. So if you see, Microsoft is having a huge market, that is the market for artificial intelligence, with huge potential of large number of people adopting it. So why, what is it about adopting? Indians, when they get to use about a new artificial intelligence tool, they are the quickest in the world to adapt these tools. So this will give a huge market to Microsoft in India. That is one thing. The second idea is, if these products are used in India in large number, you with a growing pool of, let's say, manpower and women power, the artificial intelligence tool cost will come down. So there will be a cost cutting advantage when you introduce such products in an Indian market. So this is the two advantages that Microsoft personally would get from India's human capital, we must say. So if you see other giants in the industry, that is other people who are quite prominent in this area, they tell that even if India's human capital, let's say we have not created a new groundbreaking AI tool, even not doing that, even if the human capital hasn't invented many AI tools, Indians are very good in adapting it. Correct? As we have seen here, we are very good at adapting it. So what is the advantage here? Let's say for a company in USA, it would have conflict with European Union, it would have conflict with China. What is the reason? Because they are trying to give competitive products to what USA has introduced. But when it comes to India, the competition doesn't exist because we are not creating a new AI tool. We are adapting, or we are adopting the new AI tool created by USA. So India is nothing but complementing the growth of USA in the AI tool segment. So another focus of these companies are enterprise productivity. That is, they're planning to enhance the productivity of the enterprises, where digital infrastructure, startup ecosystem, vibrant democracy and demography that India provides, in a combination, all of them has the potential to alter India's economic trajectory. So whenever you get a question related to unemployment as an issue, you can rightly quote what Satya Nadella has told about India possessing human capital and how these international collaborations between India and USA have a major role in generating employment and also to increase GDP and increase the standard of living of the people. So HUCAP is the small concept I wanted to discuss here. So with this, we'll go to the next topic. Okay, so the next topic is about the Asian dream is waking up to the challenges of being middle class. Okay, so this is a topic, that is Asian dreams, is a concept that is usually attributed to Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Okay, Mahathir Mohamad. He is the former Prime Minister of Malaysia. So he has visualized Asia as a cohesive and prosperous region based on a few foundations. What is that? One is regional cooperation between the Asian countries. Then he talks about economic integration. Then cultural unity. So all these three will lead to collective growth of Asia, and there will come a time when Asian economies will dominate. So basically this is a an American idea, we must say, borrowed by an American person called James Truslow Adams. He had created something called as an American dream. So a dreamland where life is better, richer, fuller for everybody, so that the whole country is growing together. So Asian story is this is basically a kind of story you can remember, or a sequence of events that, like how in the present scenario the Asian economy is situated. So try to create a timeline in your notes so that you can note the timeline in such a way that you'll know a sequence that we are trying to explain here. Okay, so this story starts with the idea that 50 years ago, Asian economies were poor, they were agrarian in nature, and most importantly, they were misruled. This is a major term here. But now, after 50 years, what the author tells here is there is breathtaking improvements. Okay, what are these breathtaking improvements here? Industrial growth has pioneered our success stories. Because of this, education is better, and because of better governance model, the people are now enjoying higher quality of life. Okay, as a result, from 2015 to 2021, 57% of global GDP comes from the Asian countries. But the reason is, after 2021, the momentum is now stagnating. So if you analyze what is the reason behind all this, you'll see that what is the evidence for this? You'll see canary in the coal mine. That is a bird in the coal mine which is usually kept in a cage, and there are some harmful chemicals which get released in the coal mine. So if this bird dies immediately, the employees of the coal mine will be evacuated to safety. So this coal bird is an indication that if something is happening to this bird, we also are in danger. So in a similar pattern, there are two economies that are being compared with in India to tell that in Asia all is not well. That is, the first one they're going to compare is Indonesia. So Indonesia is having 270 million population of people, and especially the middle class population, their number has drastically come down. That is, the decline is around 9.5 million in the past 5 years. So middle class population declines. It brings a lot of challenges to the economy for multiple reasons. We'll see that. Okay. The next example the author tells is about China. So in China, there is a lot of erosion of household wealth. Even China is an economy where middle class dominates much of the scene. Household wealth has declined because of the collapse in, let's say, real estate prices. And when household wealth has declined, demand will come down, further pushing down the supply, and the economy has threatened to be under recession. So in China, the middle class is rethinking about spending, pulling away the investments. So if you take India also, the case is somewhat similar. That is, growth is slowing down. Despite we see there is a positive growth rate, growth is no doubt slowing down in the post-COVID period. Urban salaries have come down, and because of which spending has drastically fallen, and this is a signifying factor like the above here. So what is the role of middle class that we are so much worried about? So middle class is the section of the society that mainly inspires political and economic development of a country. Why is so? Because good policies that if they have to be made, they depend on the public opinion, and most major chunk of the public that we talk about in a country comes from none other than the middle class. So when this middle class is shrinking, we will not have a great pressure group working in the society which can fight for political and economic equality. So what can the government do to come out of this impasse? Okay, the first one they suggest is increasing tax base. So why this is done? tax base can be increased because we need huge amount of funding in education and health sector, without which the middle class will not be an efficient entity. Then there is a need for stimulus so that people will start increasing their spending, and China has seen giving some amount of money to the people so that it boosts the spending activity. So the third one is attracting foreign investment. So the idea is that by 2029, 2 out of every 3 middle class person in the world will be an Asian. So to take advantage of this workforce, foreign investments attractions can be tapped. So this is another analysis for India, where we can increase the tax base so that our education and economic budgets are boosted. We need to give stimulus, that is spending power in the hands of the people, and attract foreign investments. So remember this as a question for India to, as a solution for India to lead the Asian dreams about dominating in the world socially, economically, and politically. The last article for today would be an article written by Raghuram Rajan in Live Mint, the former governor of RBI. He has given a lot of suggestions on how emerging economies can prosper in a protectionist world. So we began today's ICANN episode with the topic similar to this, like protectionist world in the sense inward looking economies. So because of this, immigrants are coming back to the country of their origin, and how the local countries can boost their GDP from this as a reverse brain drain. In the same way, this is a kind of continuation of a similar concept, as in how can we work in a protectionist economy and make sure we still face an increase in our economic growth, right? So we are at a time when there are many apprehensions. That is, there is a huge kind of informal word that we can use is called trade war going on between USA and other countries like China, Japan. We can talk about Europe, and this is only going to be more as Trump is going to take power within a few days now. So developing countries, that is India as a developing country, we need to find a method to expand beyond agriculture to achieve middle income status, by utilizing, let's say, low skilled export oriented manufacturing. Correct? This is the parameter we usually follow. That is, as agriculture sector is overcrowded and service sector needs a lot of skill based employment, we are focusing on creating jobs in the manufacturing sector, tap this potential, export it to other countries, and get the economic gain out of this whole process. So because manufacturing sector absorbs a lot of workforce, this idea is something traditionally developing countries have following now. But if you see, if the countries are inward looking, they would like to give some mechanisms of protection to their local manufacturers, because of which this export market we are aiming to tap might not actually work. If that happens, it directly impacts our manufacturing prowess, and if that happens, again the problem of unemployment would come. Then where to absorb this excess population that the country is having, whether into the service, agriculture, or the same plan if we continue, we might not see the economic success. So what would happen to these kind of countries if we give a question? The Raghuram Rajan gives a solution that these countries needs to have an alternative model, okay, alternative development path. What that model should be like? So if you see earlier, manufacturing export, it was mainly dependent on foreign demand. Low skill population, low skilled economy could utilize this very well. It is easy to attract to manufacturing entity, that is low skilled population can be absorbed here. But the outputs would be globally competitive. Why that competitiveness would be there? Because low cost manufacturing is an advantage because of the low labor charges here. As a result, these companies would get a competitive advantage in the market by producing cheaper products, right? So because of this, the firms have profited a lot. especially you can take for example China or even India in many of the manufacturing in successes. Because of high profit, the wages of the people have increased. As a result of wages, better schooling and health opportunities are availed by the public, and firms have paid more taxes, we must say. As a result of this success, they have paid more taxes to the government, and government, using this money, tax money, they have improved the infrastructure. And because of everything this is happening, the firms could make many sophisticated plans, so that they can create some high value added products to the market. So as a result, this vicious circle will go on. So this will happen, then again firms will earn profit, wage will go high, schooling and health will improve, they pay more taxes, government will provide infrastructure, they will complicate even more, and the vicious circle goes on. So this is how developing economies have prospered in the past 4 decades, we can say. But if you see, here the author Raghuram Rajan gives the example of a cell phone plant. You can use this in your answer. If you go to a cell phone assembly plant, assembly plants, what would we earlier see? We'll see a lot of people coming and assembling physically the parts and components of a product. But in a cell phone plant, the micro circulatory that we are talking about, the chipsets that we are talking about, they have become so fine and tiny that human hands cannot handle them. They become too small for us to handle. As a result, we'll see only few workers in this assembly line trying to handle the machines which actually go into manufacturing this, assembling this microchips. Right? If you are seeing some unskilled people in this plant, that could be the janitors or the ones who are maintaining the cleanliness of the organization, or probably trying to physically maintain the wellness of these machines. Apart from this, the assembly portion is hardly having any human presence now. What we are talking about? Nothing but the concept of automation. So automation in developing countries is a reality now. So especially manufacturing sector has of late started employing less people. Reason? Especially less of unskilled people. They do hire, but it is only skilled people. So they're hiring less number of unskilled people, and this is the problem that majority of our developing countries are having. So as labor is no longer needed in manufacturing part area, if you see why many of the companies came to China to establish their manufacturing system, because of the availability of cheap labor. But when you don't want labor in your manufacturing system only, you would retain yourself in US. You would not choose to come to China at all. So these countries, that is, we can talk about all the industrialized countries here, like USA, EU, they are confident that they can restore themselves through protectionist barriers. So even if we block people from going into US and working, they can still run the show, because there are machines and automated systems to replace people. So though this looks like a very negative and pessimistic idea of protectionism, Raghuram Rajan tells that there is a silver lining. That is, we can focus on another major segment. It is nothing but high skilled service exports. So high skilled, again, we might tell that it's a problem of skill, hence we are not able to utilize. But this argument justifies why high skilled service export is a great potential. So in 2023 alone, a global trade in services expanded by 5%, whereas merchandise trade fell down by 1.2%. So this itself shows that trade in services is a buzzword now, and the countries can definitely utilize it. The question is how to utilize this sector. So the first one is, if you have seen, there is a concept called remote working. In an informal way, we also call it work from home facility. So after COVID pandemic, the world has switched to this remote working where your location, physical location would not matter. You just have to perform your work from wherever you are. So there is a very minimum requirement of physical presence, and this would definitely not be a barrier for Indians sitting in India and working in the companies of the other countries. So this is a positive impact that we can tap into, that is remote working population. So the second advantage or how we can make use of it is we can focus on building global capability centers. So what is this idea here? We are going to provide services like engineers, even in a manufacturing sector or service sector. We need engineers, we need architects to plan the features and buildings for us. We need lawyers who will handle all cases in case of IPR and other issues. In all these things, we are doing nothing but providing services, especially that is going to be global in nature. We won't be catering to Indian clients alone, but focusing on international market as well. The third one we can do is focus on profitability export. Okay, that is profitability export in the sense we can take advantage of high wage differentials. So it is not like the developed countries do not have engineers, architects and lawyers. They do have, but Indian workforce is quite affordable for the companies and come with a lower cost rate compared to the US one. So here we can make a lot of advantage of profitability export. That is, we are going to export this wage differential that we are having. We can also take advantage of the language efficiency Indians are having. So Indians and many Asians are very quick to pick up French, Spanish, and anyway we are well versed in English. So even more we can, if you see, this creates a kind of competition within the domestic market. That is, whoever has access to the skill which can be very quickly developed, the skill can be tuned very fast, and local competition will high, pushing up the local market and demand. So by exporting this, we can earn a lot of foreign exchange in this process. So this would ultimately create ripple effect, as we always talk about in economy. So service worker who is locally employed, that is, let's say there is a lawyer who is working for a multinational company, or let's say working for a US company by remotely sitting in India. They would hire people. This would again generate the local employment. This is one way. Even if they hire, their income would go up. When the income goes up, they would demand more products from the local society. This further boost in demand based on their consumption creates a spiral of economic development. Let's say they would also focus on taxi drivers, for example. They would focus on plumbers, laundry service. All this is an area that we can develop by exporting services. So what could be the way ahead for us? That how can we tap, and what could be the plan that we are doing? So in the short run, we can talk about last mile training. Last mile training, that is, we already have engineers, we already have doctors, we have lawyers, but the problem is they are not much tuned to the international standards. So the last mile training would take a few weeks of courses, and they would just be doing nothing but a quick update of what they have already done. If this is done immediately within a span of 2 to 3 years, we can create a great impact in our service, high skilled service export. What would be our medium term strategy? In the medium term, we would invest, the country should invest in nutrition, they should invest in good health benefits, they should invest in education. Ultimately, we are talking about developing human capital which is capable of getting absorbed. So the next concept would be generating employment. That is, let's say, what kind of employment can we generate? We are talking about women employment here. Let's say there is a high school teacher who is a skilled mother, a skilled woman. Okay, so she teaches good values to the children and with very good care. So that strengthens a lot of human capital formation. So we are talking about generating employment that adds value to the future generation. And we can create a kind of skill development. We often talk about skill development, but what Raghuram Rajan has said is that skill development that are relevant for all sectors. That is, create a skill in such a way that the person will learn so many things, they have multiple options or opportunities to choose from. So skill development for all the sectors that are very important. If we focus on that in the long term, India can definitely benefit out of the protectionist measure, and we need not keep focusing on creating opportunities of employment in the manufacturing sector, which is low paid in the current time. So it is the time when India's service sector, dominated by software, dominated by a lot of back end processing team, BPO, they all are getting replaced by artificial intelligence tools now, and we are seeing job losses because of AI already by many companies like Amazon's and others. So this might not be a probable future in which we can perceive the service sector. So service sector will still be an important parameter for Indian economy if we focus on high end, high skilled service export. So remember these discussions, especially for your paper 3 Indian economy, when we are standing at the cusp of multiple challenges domestically and internationally. So that's it about today's ICANN episode. So a suggestion for all of you is that Insights posts secure questions every day in their website. These questions will be from the 4 GS papers based on the events that are happening in the current time. So try to answer them, and at the end of the day you get the synopsis for this as well, so that your answer writing will be streamlined with what is the trend of questions that is coming up. So do write and participate in this. It will help you a lot in your answer writing, especially if you are stuck in a loop of prelims, mains, and not able to clear the mains basically. So ICANN initiative and the secure synapses together can make a lot of difference in your mains attempt in the coming year. So thank you so much for staying with us. Meet you again with more such informative articles. Thank you.